A mid-range phone with a 200 megapixel camera sounds like a typo, but it's not. Motorola Moto G87 is shaping up to bring flagship-level numbers into a price range that usually plays it safe, and that alone could shake things up more than it seems at first. Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. It really helps me keep bringing you more tech breakdowns like this one. Here's why this actually matters. For years, smartphone brands have kept their best camera hardware locked behind expensive flagships. If you wanted cutting-edge sensors, you had to pay top dollar. But now, if these leaks are accurate, Motorola is trying something different, bringing a massive 100-megapixel sensor to a mid-range device. That's the same headline number you'd expect from something like the Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra, which sits at the very top of the Android food chain. Now, let's be realistic for a second. A 200-megapixel camera on paper doesn't automatically mean better photos. Image processing, sensor size, and software tuning matter just as much, if not more. So no, this isn't suddenly going to outperform a flagship. But that's not really the point. The point is perception and capability. A higher megapixel count can mean sharper images, more detail for cropping, and better flexibility in good lighting conditions. And for a mid-range buyer, that's a big deal. What makes this even more interesting is the jump from last year's model. The Motorola Moto G86 had a 50-megapixel main camera, which was solid but nothing groundbreaking. Jumping from 50 megapixels to 200 megapixels in just one generation is not a small upgrade, it's a statement. It tells you Motorola is trying to reposition its G series as more than just affordable and decent. They want it to feel exciting again. Outside the camera, the design looks familiar but polished. The leaked images show a clean, modern look with slim bezels, rounded corners, and textured finishes on the back. Nothing radical, but definitely refined. The colors also stand out more than you'd expect in this category, especially Pantone Blue Atoll, which gives the phone a fresher, more premium vibe compared to the safer Overture Gray. As for the internals, the leaked configuration points to 8 GB of RAM and 256 GB of storage, which is actually quite generous for a mid-range device. Pricing is expected to land around €400, which roughly translates to the upper mid-range. Yes, that's slightly higher than before, but considering the camera upgrade and general industry price hikes, it's not surprising. But the Moto G87 isn't the only thing grabbing attention here. Motorola is also doubling down on design with a new color strategy, and honestly, this might be just as important long-term. There's a new finish called House of Moto Indigo, and it's not just another shade of blue. This is being positioned as a signature identity for the brand, developed in collaboration with Pantone. And the first device to really show it off is the Moto Signature. This version looks bold. Deep indigo tones, a slightly luxurious aesthetic, and even a textured, almost crystal-like finish on the back. It's clearly trying to blur the line between tech and fashion, which is something more brands are experimenting with lately. Phones are no longer just tools, they're accessories, and Motorola seems to be leaning into that idea heavily. And it doesn't stop there. Even the Moto Buds 2 Plus are expected to get this same indigo treatment. These earbuds, which already feature noise cancellation and sound tuning backed by Bose, are now being visually tied into Motorola's broader design language. It's a small detail, but it shows a more cohesive ecosystem approach. Now here's the catch, and it's a frustrating one. There's a strong chance that many of these products, including the Moto G87 and the Signature Indigo variant, might not be widely available in certain markets. That's been a recurring issue with some of Motorola's more interesting releases. Great hardware, interesting ideas, limited reach. Looking at the bigger picture, though, this strategy is pretty clear. Motorola isn't just trying to compete on specs anymore. They're trying to stand out. A 200-megapixel camera in a mid-range phone grabs attention. A bold, lifestyle-focused color identity builds brand recognition, and tying it all together across phones and accessories creates a stronger ecosystem feel. The real question is whether this translates into actual user experience. Because if Motorola can back up that 200-megapixel sensor with solid processing and consistent performance, the Moto G87 could easily become one of the most talked-about budget 5G phones this year. And if not, it still signals something important, that the gap between mid-range and flagship is getting smaller, faster than most people expected. What's your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments section. See you in the next video. Take care.